my camera again. All right, number 6. Which of the following tracts is the largest? So what we want to go through, and just figure out how many acres in each of these. It's a little additional work, but that's okay. So let's start out with A. Okay, section 1, of course, 640 acres. We'll just work our way back. Southeast quarter, so I'm going to multiply this by 0.25 of the northwest quarter, 0.25 of the northwest quarter, 0.25. And when you do that on your calculator, it is 10 acres. So that is A. Let's move to B. B, you have section 3, which is 640 acres. Sorry, I'm trying to get it to where you can see the question and what I'm writing. Okay, of the northwest quarter, of the southeast quarter, so times 0.25 again. I'm just going to lift this up so maybe you can see the whole thing. There we go. So B, we have 640 of northeast quarter of the southeast quarter, so 0.25 because it's a quarter of the southeast quarter, 0.25 of the south half. So we're going to do 0.5. And when you multiply that out on your calculator, you get 5 acres. So we're looking for which one is the largest. We know it's not B. Okay, so let's look at C. We also know that's not D now because it says that they are all of equal size. So let's look at C. Section 7, that's where we're going to start. That's 640 acres. Multiply it by northeast quarter, so times 0.25 of southwest quarter, so times 0.25. Now I'm going to point something out. I have it already marked because I actually made a mistake in class and just kept going, and I did not read the word and. So that and means we're going to stop, and we're going to go ahead and figure out the acreage of this, and then we're going to start. This is actually 2 tracts because it says and. If you notice that when I've been doing, when I've been working my way backwards, I always say section 7 of. That of, if it is of, that means you multiply it by a decimal. But that says and, so we need to stop, come up with the total, and start with the second tract because this is the second tract. So 640, take a quarter of it, and a quarter of that is 40 acres. And so we need to do 640 times a quarter, because that is a fourth, northwest, a fourth of southeast, a quarter, so times 0.25 of the southeast quarter times 2.5, and you end up with 10. So since this said and, we're going to add these. So 10 acres and 40 acres, if you add those, that is 50 acres. So we are looking for which one is the largest, and the largest, of course, is 50. So the answer is C. Let's go to number 7. Number 7 says, which of the following tracts totals 20 acres? So we are looking for 20 acres. Okay, let's start with A. It is making us do a lot of work. All right, we have section 6, which we know is 600. I'm going to scoot this over so maybe you can see. 640 acres times a quarter southwest of a quarter northeast of a quarter southwest of half the north. So when you multiply that all out, you get 5 acres. So we know A is not it. Let's go to B. Section 9, 640 acres of, means we multiply, a quarter of the northwest of a quarter southeast of a quarter the northwest. 640 times 0.25 times 0.25 times 0.25, that is 10 acres. That's not it. C, section 8, which is 640 acres of a quarter southwest of a quarter northeast of the south half, 0.5. When you multiply that out, you get 20 acres. So I believe that is it, but let's go ahead and look at D just in case we made a mistake. Start with section 10, which is 640 acres of south half, so 0.5 of south half, so that's 0.5 of the south half, 0.5. You multiply that out, you get 8 acres. So your answer is C. I'll flip my paper over. Okay, number 8. Number 8 says, what price per acre was paid for the west half of the northeast fourth of the northeast fourth of section 1 and the southeast fourth of the northeast fourth of the northeast fourth of section 1 if the total parcel sold for $180,000. So we are looking for price per acre. This is what we're looking for. We have an and, meaning we have 2 sections, so we're going to have to find the total for parcel 1 and the total for parcel 2. So let's start with parcel 1. Start with section 1 right here. We know it is 640 acres of, so we're going to multiply northeast quarter, so 0.25 of the northeast quarter, 0.25 of the west half times 0.5. When you multiply that out, you get 20 acres. Let's go to the second section. Section 1, 640 acres of northeast quarter, so times 0.25 of northeast quarter, so that's 0.25 of the southeast quarter, so that is 0.25. When you do the math on it, that is 10 acres. Okay, so we know we have 30 acres that sold for $180,000. So if we take the total price, $180,000, and we divide it by the 30 acres, we will end up with how much they paid per acre. You divide $180,000 by 30, you get $6,000 per acre. So your answer is D. Okay. Let's do number 9. Number 9 is a little bit different. How many square feet are in the following tract of land? Use the following quotation for question 10. To a point of beginning, thence due south for 400 feet, thence north 45 degrees west, 565.7 feet, thence due east 400 feet to the point of beginning. So this is how an actual, the field notes of a survey reads. And don't let it confuse you. This is what you're looking at. So we know this 400 feet, everything marked in feet, that is actually the length of the sides. So there are 3 numbers here, 3 measurements. So we know we have a triangle, but let's go ahead and draw it out. So point of beginning. Here's our point of beginning. We're going to go due south for 400 feet. So let's 400 feet. Sorry if that is hard to read. So due south. Thence, that means we're about to change direction. North, don't pay attention to the 45. We're going to go northwest 45 degrees. That's at north 45 degrees west. So northwest 45 degrees. So we know this is 90. If you split it in half, this is 45 degrees. So we're going to go 565 feet that way. I'm going to label 565.7. Thence, that means we're switching directions. Due east, I guess I'll fix that. Due east, so we're going due east 400 feet with my very straight lines. Okay, so that's what our tract of land looks like. So we are trying to figure out how many square feet are in the following tract of land. All right, when you have a triangle, I really believe that you kind of need Unit 8 to solve this, but it's kind of common sense. A triangle, if we have 400 and 400, triangle is really just half of a square. So we know if both of these sides are 400, that makes this 400, and it also makes this 400. You also know what we're looking for are how many square feet are in the following. That means we are looking for how many square feet this tract of land is. We're looking for the area. So area is just length times width, right? We learned that in elementary. So if we take this, the length and the width, we have to divide it by 2 because we're only doing half of the square. So if we take 400 times 400 and we divide that by 2, we get 80,000. Don't let this confuse you because you will learn more about it in Unit 8. So just know that area is length times width. If you are looking for the area of a triangle, it is just base times height divided by 2, which is essentially the base times the height divided by 2. That is essentially what we just did. So, but if it makes more sense to you, you can finish out the square and do it that way. But the answer is 80,000, which is A. Okay, let's look at 10. 10 says, how many acres are in the tract of land described in question 9? Okay, so this was 80,000 square feet. All right, if you look in your book, this is one of those numbers that you need to memorize. We're looking for how many acres. So we need to take the square feet, which was 80,000. We need to divide it by how many square feet are in 1 acre. This is the number you need to memorize, 43,560. And that would give us how many acres are in this tract. When you divide that out, you get 1.84 acres. So the answer is A. Okay, let's look at 11.